This is probably final two tables right here.
Yeah, sure. Let's
Yeah, that's good.
anywhere in here is fine.
10-9 off. This had to be final two tables for me to start jamming here.
So now the bounties are relevant, by the way, right? So it's completely irrelevant for all purposes. So now this is a question: is this just a profitable shove? But there's ICM pressure you can apply to the opponent to make them fold out sometimes.
Exactly, and that's where I'm going at here. I'm assuming here there's 4 or 7 people. We're probably like 12 or 13 people left, and I got to generate more folds than I'm supposed to. This is a hand I really don't want to raise fold. I think limping here is a pretty good option, but in general in these strategies, like I almost won't have. I raise a lot of my really trashy hands here when I have them covered by so much, and then I jam a ton. So you can jam a ton here because they have to call so much tighter than normal situations here. And so I went for a jam here. This is kind of an ICM play. I'm pretty sure this is good, but I actually didn't know if I was going to jam this hand when we first popped it up here.
I'll tell you, the GTO strategy has you jamming 10-9 offsuit some tiny portion of the time. So
yeah, and
can't be terrible. Right.
In chip EV, if it's jamming it some of the time, then in ICM, it's almost when this player has a decent risk premium on them, they have to call tighter. So that 10-9 off jam is going to become a lot better. I'm folding out King 10, I'm folding out Queen 10, Jack 10, more hands that I would have otherwise.
That's something you can always do is like look at the GTO charts and then jam wider if you can apply pressure to your opponent.
Yep. So remember this was final two tables. I lose this hand. Not a big deal.
How many people were in this tournament roughly? Do you remember?
400, 500. Okay.
Cool.
Where was that 10-9 off? I don't even know.
I don't know. Just find a hand. It doesn't matter. Find us some good hands to talk though.
All right. Aces. Let's go. Oh, see, I went backwards a lot. All right, there's the 10-9 off. Okay. King 7, H4.
Like we said, WSOP replayer makes it very, very difficult. You're navigating it better than basically anyone I've ever seen navigate it.
I'll point this out. This is a fold, but now I don't have a lot more chips than everyone else. Okay, so I have a decent risk premium on me. This is a hand, King 10, I would normally open. A lot of people think final two tables like, oh, you should be playing crazy aggressive, build a big stack for the final table. I don't believe in that. I think that people play way too crazy on the final two tables, and that you're really beneficial in these spots as like a mid stack to like pick your spots very well and be a lot more conservative and like pick up your pay ladders. And I think people way underestimate how much you're just supposed to ladder up in spots, and then go for the win later on when you get to like 4-handed, 5-handed type of spots. Here, this is a hand I would normally open, but because of all the rejam stacks, because I can't call out, like I don't want to be getting in huge pots in these spots close to the final table. I just make a tight fold here, and I think it's a spot that people should be folding a lot more.
Kind of like how the opponent should just fold out a little bit tighter against our jam. We should be opening a little bit tighter because we're in a disadvantageous scenario.
Exactly.
Compared to normal, right? So if we would normally raise that hand, but it's on the cusp of playability, then you probably just want to fold it, and it's fine. Yep. Unless, of course, your opponents are all tight too, but, you know.
Exactly. Ace queen off, easy jam, they fold. Pocket tens, they all fold. Ace 10. So I go for, this is a kind of ICM scenario where normally ace 10 off for 20 big blinds here versus a cutoff. I'm just going to jam all in myself. In ICM situations, you want to avoid bluff catching post flop as much as possible. And that's why if you look at like pre-flop charts that are adjusted for final tables or adjusted near the money bubble, you see very, very little flat calling. And the reason is that you really want to be like polarized. You don't want to be flat calling and put into a spot where you're bluff catching later on in the hand. So that's why you see a lot more 3-bet and folding, a lot more aggression pre-flop in ICM scenarios. So here I actually do something that I think is probably pretty good here, but I don't think a lot of people do. I go for a small 3-bet, and I'm going to fold if this player jams. So I'm turning this hand into a bluff where normally it's too good to 3-bet fold, so I would jam it myself. Here I'd probably jam with ace-jack offsuit, and ace 10 is just not quite good enough to jam, so I turn that into my 3-bet bluff.
Would you be 3-bet bluffing like worse ace X's as well?
Yeah, I think all the ace X offs are pretty much equal because, like I said, like if this player understands, like you shouldn't be getting called very much. Like ace 5 off and ace 10 off have fairly similar value, and I just do it easier, make it easier by choosing the better ace highs to bluff. Okay. So I go for the small one and get a fold. I might do it again here with ace 4 off. Oh, I was thinking maybe like this is a big pot. I thought like this is a similar spot again. There's a chance here like I might 3-bet like a hand like this again, something similar like that. And then now this is the final table, I believe, right in here. So now we're at the 9-headed final table. Bounties are pretty irrelevant at this point. The first thing I do at the final table is I start to categorize people as big stacks, medium stacks, and short stacks. And the reason I do that is to figure out kind of what my risk premium is against each player. Risk premium is, some people call it bubble factor. It's the basic summary of what that is. It's additional equity. It's how much tighter you need to be in a final table spot. And so how I would look at this final table is we have 2 clear short stacks that have like 6 big blinds each or 8 big blinds each here. We have 1 very clear big stack, like probably 2 if you include this guy that has 850K and $1 million. And then there's a bunch of us that have like 500, 600, 400, 7. In summary, to make it simple, I'm clearly a middle stack here. When you're a mid stack, your strategy is to play tight. You're screwed and you really can't do anything. That's what really your strategy is as a middle stack. You are the one that the big stacks get to play aggressive and abuse everyone else. The short stacks, they still have to play tight, but they have less to risk than I do because they're the shortest stack. They still have to play tighter. I would say the short stacks risk premium is probably around 10%. Mine's probably double that. I have 20% risk premium, which that means in math, what I mean when I say that is if 50-50 equity is even, I need 70% equity. So when I say I have a 20% risk premium, instead of needing 50% equity to call off in a spot, I need 70%. And it's really hard to have 70%. I need to have queens versus jacks pretty much. Like I can barely get in ace king versus ace queen in this spot because of how tight I have to be. Am I explaining that well?
That is all excellent. And that's because we have this player on the button here with a short stack, and you really don't want to go Bork before the player with a short stack.
Yep.
So you're trying to play. You're going to play the hand, but like you're not thrilled about it.
And the same things apply where we're going to be doing a lot of rejamming with our stack and not much flat calling. Now in the big blind, we will obviously flat call. This hand here, I'm going to rejam. Like I would probably call with tens.
This is an interesting spot.
I would not rejam pocket tens here. And you could even make the case that pocket jacks, I would probably just call with here. And the reason is if I jam here, and I know who this is, and this is like a pretty well-known player, they're folding pocket tens versus my rejam here. And so I don't want to jam jacks if they're folding tens. I just nuke the equity in my hand, the value in my hand. And because he has a pretty similar risk premium that I do, and I know he understands this. So I think I would even like my jamming range here is probably like pocket queens, kings, aces, ace, king, and then maybe some like suited aces as a bluff.
This is a spot where this player under the gun should be kind of tight too. Yep. Just in general, because they have a big stack you attack, they have a shallow stack who could easily jam.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is a spot where
I love this final stable stuff. Like I like to talk about this. Like if I'm this player under the gun, I probably just fold pocket sevens. I'm not raising with pocket sevens under the gun, maybe even pocket eights. That's kind of what I'm talking about, how tight you should be here under the gun with this middle stack.
Okay, good.
Rejam the ace king, get a fold. See here, king jack suited. I might even make a tight fold here. I raise.
You'd fold the offsuit one though, most likely, right?
Yeah, I would fold king jack offsuit for sure. 7 big blinds. Like this really, really, really sucks. This spot, and this is why like you don't want to raise that wide. Like this is the bottom of my opening range probably in this spot, and like I'm pretty sure I have to call here, but it's really close, and I don't even think like folding would be a big mistake here.
So here you're putting in what 150 to win for
300.
Well,
so I'm getting 2 to 1
460
odds.
total or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting 2 to 1 odds. So normally I would need 33% equity, right? I have some risk premium here because my chips are worth more. I think I would estimate here that I probably have a somewhere between like 5 and 10% risk premium versus the shorter stack. Now it's less against this player because he can't bust me, but I still have some. So if I have a 5 to 10% risk premium, normally I would need 33% here because I'm getting 2-to-1 odds. So I need somewhere between like 38 and 43% equity now. And I don't know if King Jack suited is like, it probably has about 40% equity here because this is a pretty tight range. Like that's where I'm getting at. This normally seems like, why would you ever fold here? You're getting a great price. But when you look at it, the math, and you break it down, add your risk premium to whatever equity you need, this becomes really close.
Yep, I agree. It's definitely a close spot.
And like this jam with fives is pretty, it's kind of torching money, I think, here.
Especially if you're opening tight to begin with, because like
exactly,
you're just not
my
holding
range
all
is
that often.
so tight. And I lose this one. I remember that one was kind of frustrating because.
Do you have any tips for risk premium to help people figure this out? Because
yeah, so the quick ones, and you can replay this later to record this. So short stack, if you're a short stack, you're probably going to have somewhere between a 5 to 10% risk premium. 5% if there's no other short stacks, and probably 10% if there are other short stacks available.
And even more if there's like a one big blind stack. Right?
Exactly. It could be 20% if there's one big blind stack.
It could be like a ton, right? Yeah.
The medium stacks have the most risk premium in general. So a medium stack versus a big stack, you're probably having a 20+% risk premium. So here, like my risk premium versus the other chip leaders is enormous. Versus shorter stacks than me, maybe it's like 10%, something like that. Big stack versus big stack is probably like 25 or 30%. It's like massive. They can't even get in pocket kings profitably against each other. Like if you are two massive chips leaders and one chip leader raises, you probably should flat, never like 3-bet queens, because if you get it in versus ace king, it's a disaster. So, and then like, you know, those are kind of basic guidelines that you can start to work from. And you can use tools like ICMizer is really, really, really good. And you can get all the risk premiums in ICMizer. If you if you go on YouTube or Google, you can Google like how to get risk premiums in ICMizer. I'm sure there's YouTube videos that will show you how to do it.
I actually have a tournament course coming out at the end of this month, and there's a big section on ICM there where we have a chart with risk premiums, and we go through some general tips to discuss it all as well.
Yep.
When you're a giant stack, by the way, against a short stack, it's almost like there's no risk premium to some extent because you're not risking losing a substantial amount. But that previous hand where you had King Jack suited, you are a medium stack where if you lose that hand, you'll become a medium or shorter stack, right?
Exactly.
And therefore, you do have a decent risk premium there. So really have to ask, like, if I call and lose, is that detrimentally bad? And if it is, then your risk premium is going to be kind of high.
So here I do something that seems a little weird, and you see this a lot. And the reason people do this is I raise a committing size that's not all in. And the reason I do this is only for the fact that, let's say now B3 shoves, and then Nick Reale calls him, and then like Eclipse calls. I have a very easy fold now, and I have a potential to get like 2 pay jumps just by folding. So like you're just raising here because for the 1% chance that it goes like all in behind you, and your hand is just worth nothing, and you can just fold and try to get a pay jump that way.
Should you go smaller then to like 125? Because then you just save an extra 50K in those instances. But do you think you just get called a lot more then?
I think there's a chance then the big blind, especially someone that might not understand what they're doing, is just going to call a little bit too much, which isn't the best case scenario for me. So
cool. Does a 20% risk premium equate to tightening your range by 20%?
Not necessarily. Right? That has to do with all in. So to get all in, you need 20% extra equity, which will translate to tightening your range.
But not 20%. Not exactly that 20% number.
No. So how I would look at it is,
But like who knows what actual percentage it is. But like that King Jack suited hand, normally he needs 33% equity. Now he needs 33 plus whatever the risk premium is. So plus like 7. So now I need like 40% equity. Okay.
So here with ace queen off.
Why is 5 burning money? Doesn't he have good fold equity? No, he does not have good fold equity because Matt's raising a tight range to begin with.
Like King Jack suited is probably the bottom of my range. So I'm opening like 10% of hands there. Probably. Normally I would open like 17 or 18%, maybe 16%. But I'm probably raising like somewhere between 9 and 10% of hands. And 5s is just demolished by that range.
And he's essentially like calling off his money flipping. or behind, right? He's calling off his money slightly behind, and you don't want to call off your money slightly behind. You'd rather, I mean, I guess call and see a flop and then go from there.
So from the big still line. Short stack here, queens. I rejam, get a fold. You have a lot more fold equity too in final tables, like with 12 big blinds.
Because of the risk premium you're putting on your opponent, right?
Exactly.
You may think that should incentivize you to jam a lot wider, but it doesn't necessarily, because you still don't want to go broke.
You're incentivized to jam wider with like blocker hands. So like you see, like ace X suited are really good hands to jam with. When you get called by jacks, you still have an overcard, you have suitedness, and you have an ace, and you block the calling range. You block their ace kings, their ace queens. Ace queen here. Oh, I remember this hand. I jam if you want to see money lit on fire at a final table. This is kind of it. This guy doing?
All right. Misclick or something. Maybe it's just terrible.
We'll give him some credit there. So I think I lost a pot here somewhere. I don't. Oh, I think. Now I'm short again. Jack 10 I fold. Queens, this is kind of a big one, I think. I min raise. I don't jam. I will have a min raise fold range here. Get jammed on by deuces.
Should the deuces jam in this scenario?
I would just call. And the reason is my range, when I raise here off of... So I'm going to have a lot of hands that just shove here for 13 big blinds. So if I have like queen jack suited, I'm just going to go all in because I don't want to raise fold with that hand. I'm just going to jam and try to force folds from like ace 5 offsuit and prevent deuces from jamming.
So your raising range here is either like super nut hands or...
it's gonna,
well, what bluffs are you using?
It's probably going to be like jacks plus, jacks, queens, kings, aces, ace, king suited. And then my bluffs are going to be like ace 9 offsuit, king 8 suited, like a big card, like either a really strong offsuit ace that I don't want to jam, like ace 9 or ace 8, and then or like a strong suited king, like king 9 suited, king 10 suited, maybe an ace 4 suited that I don't want to jam. Those are going to be my bluffs.
Hands that are not quite good enough to jam.
Exactly.
Okay. Ideally with a blocker.
Yep, we win that versus deuces. I might jam here. No, I thought that was going to fold. Ace 8. There's a lot of like jamming that goes on here with... We just fold the jack 9. This is kind of like... This turns into a giant chicken match four-handed kind of for a while. 20 here with ace jack I thought was really, really close. We have so we both have $1 million. This guy's clearly the chip leader. So now it's chip leader, 2 middle stacks, 1 clear short stack. Jamming ace jack off here, it generates a lot of folds, but I also fold out a lot of hands that I dominate. So I fold out ace 9 suited, for example. I think this is close between a call and a jam. I'm not exactly sure what is the best option here.
I think it definitely depends here on the opponent's tendencies to begin with, like how loose are they raising? Because this is a spot where, like, let's say the guy on the button is jamming a lot over raises, then the cutoff here has to be a little bit tighter because they're going to get jammed on a lot. Or say the big stack is 3-betting a ton. Cutoff must be tighter. But if everyone's playing like kind of reasonably, then I think he can open a little bit wider, which allows you in turn to jam a little bit wider, right?
Yep, I agree. Check call, because check. I peel a bet here, I'm pretty sure, with 2 overs and a gutter.
It's a tough spot. You're probably not winning this hand a ton.
I consider bluffing here.
I say, do we get the lead on the river? I think it's viable.
I remember I tanked and was very strongly considered leading, but I thought I had other hands like Jack 9 of spades, for example, or Queen Jack of spades, something a little bit worse to bluff with, and I thought this hand could still win at showdown versus certain hands. And
I would venture to say that, like, if you were any amount weaker, I would probably go for the bluff. But like you said, ace jack can win.
Like this hand should be bluffing. I'm 99% sure.
Because you have something when you call the turn bet. You have either a pair or you have ace high.
Exactly.
And he loses to almost all ace highs.
Yep. Now ace queen here. Now we're shorter. I think it's a pretty clear jam now, which we get it through. We'll just kind of go to the key hands here.
Lots of all-ins and fold late in the tournament, but
even
though you still see, though, there's a lot of thought and skill that goes into this. A lot of people think, we're all in or fold hold'em, and they call it bingo, but it's not. There's still a ton of skill required.
Yep,
this is the easy jam pre-flop because the button's opening very wide, right?
Yep.
And therefore, you, in turn, should jam all of your Well, all of your range to begin with, probably, with the stack that you're going to play.
I would fold the smaller pairs. This is probably still, this player will be, it's similar to this before. This player's going to be jamming a lot, so the opening range is more polarized. So the pairs actually don't perform as well, but sevens is too good to fold. But I would fold like probably deuces, threes, fours, maybe even fives, because I think this range is, it's going to be very polarized. And when I get called, when I have fives, it's really bad. I'd rather have like an ace or a king in my hand that has more equity versus the calling range or blocks the calling range.
Okay. But sevens are great. I mean, you're not folding sevens. Yep. So now you're the chip leader. Finally, we did it.
Yep. So I went with the jam here. This is the type of stuff you get to do four-handed here. This player has 20. These two players have 10. This player has to call extremely tight. And this is a hand I don't want to raise fold. I can generate a ton of folds, like king, queen just has to fold. All these players have to fold king, queen when I jam here. So these middling hands that are really good, even though it's like 25 big blinds effective here, I'm just jamming. And then I have a polarized raising range.
Great. I love it.
So I jam, get called by ace king, and
sometimes
lose.
You win.
Oh, I thought I was going to win. I thought it was going too good for a while. Then there's a lot of just all in, no real confrontations, but chips are going back and forth.
Ace loves our webinar. Thank you, Bill. I'm glad you enjoyed this. He says you make a great streaming team. Lots of great back and forth. Good.
Awesome.
Thank you. Glad you're enjoying it.
Fold that. Probably all folding that.
All right. So now we're no longer the chip leader, and we're in the scenario
so now
where
we're three-handed now, and now I'm kind of outweighting this guy, trying to get to heads up. It's really important. Stealing chips from Blue Tang doesn't really do me much. Stealing tips from Mr. Final T does me a lot. So, like, you also need to think about final table stuff in terms of who do you want to steal chips from? And, like, doubling through Blue Tang doesn't really do me anything. Like, it gets me a little closer, but then I still have to play really tight until Mr. Final T busts.
Right. In this scenario, you're not necessarily thinking, all right, I got to get all the chips and win this tournament. You're thinking, outlast Mr. Final T. But if you give Mr. Final T walks and fold, then
I'm almost never giving him a walk. I'm pretty much just going to jam everything.
So you're jamming wider than normal because you really don't want to give that particular player a walk.
It's
now,
like
if the stacks were reversed, you would be jamming much tighter than normal. Like if Blue Tang was, if the player on your left had 3 million chips and the player on your right had 1 million, you'd be giving a lot of walks from the small blind.
Exactly.
So
and if I'm Blue Tang here
is very important.
Blue Tang should be shoving like 80% of hands. He can almost shove,
like
not any two. But, so we shove Queen 10 here. We win that one, and now he's really short. I think he hung around for a while. We get heads up. I don't know how much we want to go through heads up. I mean,
if there's a big hand or two, we can check it out. I can go a few minutes after 6 if we need to.
So I incorporate a mixed strategy in heads up, especially when you get short stack. You want to do a lot of limping because you want to play a lot of hands. But if we just pure min raise here, this player can just jam a ton. So it's important early on to test how often is your opponent going to rejam. And also here, if your opponent's just raising every button here and you have 20 big blinds, you should just go in all in a ton because they're playing way too many hands and they just can't call.
Funny enough, I was talking to our coach Jonathan Jaffe about this. I beat him heads up in a WPT a long time ago, and he said that he didn't realize it back in the day, but the reason he lost the heads up match was because he was raising a lot and I was just jamming a ton, right? And so he did not correctly realize that, all right, I got to tighten up or use a limping strategy because I'm getting jammed on every time.
Yep.
And that's exactly what you were saying, right? That said, I typically start being pretty aggressive heads up just to see what will happen, right? Because if you can just raise and the fold a lot,
exactly,
you're just going to crush them, right?
Yep,
Which
I
is
always
probably
start
what
with that.
Most people are used to doing if they're good aggressive heads up players, just like running people over. But if your opponent won't let you run them over, then of course you have to use much more fundamentally sound strategies.
So these offsuit aces, I pretty much just jam for sub 20. They play really well as all ins, and they don't really do much else as anything else. 10-6 off. We just call here.
You got to call against min raises a lot. There are no payout implications anymore because
I could lead on this board potentially. I think this would be this spot to lead. Goes check check. I probably assuming I start bluffing now.
It's a bad turn for you in general, but you should probably still bluff.
It's not as bad as an ace. It's not as bad as an ace, I would say. But yes, in general. But I still want to bet some 7x hands. I can bet a smaller for some protection and go for the small bet here. Jack. I mean, I think I'm pretty much just committed to bluff here. And I go for a really small size. And the reason I go for here is I think a lot of this range is ace high, and he's just not going to correctly defend this range. So I'm going to bet 300,000 here. I'm betting 300 to win 1.2 million. He should only fold 25% of the time. And I just think in general, people here are going to fold like.
Did Matt freeze on me? Matt froze on me. Oh no, come on, Zoom. I better text him. I said the webinar had to end. Didn't mean turn off the internet at 6 p.m. Let's see. One second, everybody. Probably has his phone off. All right. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe I'm supposed to like end Zoom and try it again. You think it's a problem on my end? Oh, problem with Zoom. Okay, good. Well, there you go. Looks like he left and is coming back. Okay, give us just a second, everybody. The suspense is real indeed. Thanks to all of you for being here, by the way. Just in case this thing doesn't function, I appreciate all of you being here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let us know. Maybe we'll do more things like this in the future. We had a webinar for premium members the other day with Draft Ganger and Michael Acevedo. It was excellent. I learned a ton in it. I think they have another one coming up soon, actually. They reviewed Draft Ganger's $10,000 buy-in win he had recently for about $400K. So make sure you're checking that out. Let's see. Do you have the ability to see your opponent's hands after 24 hours? I don't think so. Oh, here he is. He's back. Okay, let's see. Admit. Hopefully this works and doesn't require too much.
Hello.
Hello, we're back.
I'm back. Sorry, internet.
Internet, I hear you. All right, I think you can share the screen.
Oh yeah, I have to let me share screen again really quick.
I think.
It's like
turn on your camera too.
Start video. Share screen.
Beautiful. It all lined up. Okay, good. Perfect. All right, a few more hands. I didn't mean we had to be over at exactly 6.
Yeah, it was it was right at 6 when it cut out. That was pretty funny. Did you see the 10-6 river spot?
You bluffed the river. That was good.
Okay.
Okay.
A7 here. These offsuit aces. Just rejam them for like up to 30 big blinds. Heads up. To go ahead and rejam, get a fold. Ace 10. What do here? Go for a raise. I'm going to call a shove, and then I think the final hand here is very similar to the ace 4 hand, where I have 24 bigs. I normally don't do a ton of jamming, but the hands that I'm going to jam here are like deuces through 5s, and then some of these weaker ace X hands, and then maybe some like queen jack suited or jack 10 suited that I don't want to raise fold. That's probably going to be. I'm not jamming here a lot, but this is kind of like my prime candidate that I'm just going to shove and take my equity here, because not a lot better. Like, it really sucks when I get reshoved on here to have to call it off. I can't fold, and I don't really want to raise call. Kind of sucks, and I get pretty lucky here that I get called by ace 6 suited, which
nice.
Ace 6 suited has to call their like.
One of his worst hands to call, though, to some extent. I mean, yeah, I guess I'll call like king queen type stuff and whatnot, but.
Yeah, like king queen's gonna call, like that type of stuff. So I get really lucky there.
It's fortunate to be dominating him, is what we're saying here.
Yeah. That's so. And then that was it.
Excellent. Well, good. This was a great final table. Any parting words? Anything else you want to say? I mean, this was great. I learned a lot. So good.
Yeah. Only parting words, and this is I've been preaching this in my webinars the last couple of times. If you haven't been attending my webinars, I highly recommend it. But my one thing, and you see this a lot with me in tournaments. I don't really believe in tournament life. And a lot of people use tournament life as an excuse to play tight. And I think it's really bad. And I think a better way to realize tournament life is the best way to protect your tournament life is to win more chips and have more chips in tournaments. And I think a lot of people are like, well, shouldn't we fold here because of tournament life? Like, well, you should also protect your tournament life by winning more chips. And so you see the best tournament players in the world, they're all very aggressive and they're all willing to gamble. And if they make mistakes, they're probably on the aggressive side, because you're not going to win tournaments playing tight passive. So that would kind of be my parting words that I've been preaching a lot to overall players. If I had to say one thing to how to improve like your tournament play.
Awesome. I mean, it turns out winning tournaments is way easier if you consistently chip up compared to consistently chip down, right? And
yep.
That's what you got to do. So good. You want a World Series circuit ring for this? Is that accurate?
Yeah, got a ring.
Awesome.
My first ring. It's kind of cool. I haven't got it yet, but we'll see. I'm sure it's coming. But yeah, WSOP is very promptly, I'm sure.
They'll give you a little thing next to your avatar or something to like there's your ring, exactly. Your digital ring. All right, well, good. Congrats on that, and thanks for this webinar. We appreciate it. Thanks to everyone here who showed up. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I can't see the chat and stuff. I'm sure some of my regular students and all that stuff.
Oh, they are. They love you. The chat's going off.
Attendees were here, so thank you, everyone, for coming. And normally I'm doing webinars Wednesdays around 4 p.m. Pacific. So please join. A lot of them are for premium members. So if you enjoyed this content, we do this stuff, but a little more in depth.
All right. Are you ready to go to the Matrix with me? We're going to be discussing Cyber Week. So what is Cyber Week? We have solid discounts on all of the products I have made available. We have content on cash games where you can get a solid discount. Lots of webinars on various types of cash games, including tough games, loose games, splashy games, wild games, live at the bike, all sorts of stuff. We also have my cash game masterclass, 29 lessons long. If you want to check out that. We also have lots of stuff on tournament poker. Many courses, including the new tournament masterclass, where I teach you how to play every stage of the tournament optimally and how to fully realize your equity. And the tournament masterclass is not for sale. You can't buy it. It's exclusively available for Poker Coaching Premium members. And if you're a Poker Coaching Premium member, you get access to this and all of these and this and this and this. Here is the table of contents for the Tournament Masterclass. We discuss pre-flop strategies with all sorts of stack depths. We discuss flop strategies at different stack depths as well. We discuss turn strategies, including some of you asked about leading the turn, right? Turn probes, delayed continuation bets, facing delayed continuation bets, etc. We also discuss playing on the river. Clearly, the river is very, very important. We also discuss ICM. This three-letter word does not do that section justice. Substantially longer than 3 letters worth. We also discuss adjusting to various tournament formats like satellites, re-entry tournaments, turbo tournaments, 6-max tournaments, whatever. We also discuss finances, how to be a tournament pro. We also discuss various other topics like tells, mindset, tilt, etc. Plus, we have all of these hand history reviews, all of these tournaments I played over the last 6 months or so during the COVID period. All of these. There was a $50 tournament that I won, another $55 tournament that I won, a $100 tournament, $150 tournament where I took second place, a $630 tournament that I won, a $1,000 third place, a $1,000 PKO, Progressive Knockout tournament where I took second place, 3 wins in satellites. These were the $2,500 buy-in tournaments in 88, 100, and 160. And I played a full session. I think I took a second or third in some of those. Again, check that out at pokercoaching.com/cyberweek. All of that, all of this, all of these hand history reviews. These all take an hour or 2 each. All of these are included. Here's one of my best students, Blas Zerjau. He says, poker coaching has helped him lay strong foundations to excel at No Limit Hold'em and to further work on his game with my help. As you see, Blas has been absolutely crushing it. His results are not typical. You cannot expect all of you to have $2.4 million in cashes over the last 2 years. But, poker coaching member out there, absolutely crushing. So, we have the Poker Coaching Standard membership, normally $39 a month, but you can get a year for $249. In pokercoaching.com, we have over 1,000 interactive quizzes. Now, today, we actually did a different kind of quiz. These are not counted in those 1,000 quizzes, right? Remember how we went through 3 or 4 questions each? None of those count in this 1,000 number. These 1,000 quizzes are like interactive hands where you have to tell me each play you would make, and then you get graded on each betting round as to how you play those spots. And it's not only me, it's a bunch of other world-class coaches as well. So essentially, we'll present you a spot like this. You have to say what you would do, and then you'll get immediate feedback from the coach who made the quiz. Also part of pokercoaching.com. We have over 300 classes and webinars. These are somewhere between 30 minutes long and 2 hours long. Like recently, Faraz Jaka. You all may know him. He was WPT Player of the Year a while back. I think he was Player of the Year. Yeah, he's Player of the Year. He made a deep run in the $5,000 W Coop event. So he went through all of his big hands. Here we have Michael Acevedo. He wrote the book Modern Poker Theory. He has a lot of GTO solver stuff. I actually learned pretty much everything I know about solvers from Michael Acevedo. He helped design PioSolver. He got into Munker Solver before pretty much anyone, and he is an absolute crusher. Also, lots and lots of other content here. We just hired Brad Wilson, world-class cash game player, and looking forward to having more and more high-level cash game content from him. Here are the rest of the coaches. Just to highlight a few, we have James Romero. He was in the top 10 live tournament players in the world pre-COVID. Absolute crusher. We have Bert Stevens, Giraffe Ganger, 7. He was the number 1 player online a year or two ago. He took a year or two off to hang out and relax, and now he's back grinding hard. He actually went through a $10,000 win. It was a $10,000 buy-in tournament. He won like $450K a few weeks ago. He went through all of the major hands with Michael Acevedo. Also, he's won 2 EPTs over the last 2 weeks. He's absolutely crushing it. He did a private stream just the other day for all the poker coaching members. We have lots and lots of interactive private streams. Imagine a stream on Twitch, except for not a lot of nonsense, right? I know we have a very, very good Twitch following here. Thank you all for being good, responsible humans on Twitch, by the way. I know sometimes it gets out of line. But listen, if these guys were streaming publicly, they'd have many, many thousands of viewers, and you wouldn't be able to get any words in. They'd have a tough time answering questions. Instead, we keep it small. There'll be somewhere between 50 and 200 people watching the streams, and they'll answer every question that you ask. That's what we're going for. Also, yeah, Eric points out, we just added Tommy Angelo, one of the people who was the most influential on my poker career as a young poker player. He is the mindset expert, and we just hired him as a coach. He's going to be presenting a webinar, when? Tomorrow. Literally tomorrow. Brand new coach for you. We're continuing to expand the roster. They have over $50 million in earnings. Did I mention that? So, you all may not know this. Since making Poker Coaching Premium, I spent over $200,000 on content. This is money that I have paid the coaches for that. It costs a lot of money to hire the best coaches in the world, but I don't mind. Also, every single month, I'm spending mid-5 figures. Call it $30,000. $30,000 a month on poker coaching content so that you have the most up-to-date, high-level content. And now, what is that worth? Obviously, I'm not going to charge you $10,000 a month for this. I'm not even going to charge you $500 a month, right? But if you think about it, If I did charge you $500 per month, and all I did was help you win an additional big pot or 2 per session that you played, that you would not have won otherwise, would it be worth it? And if you play small stakes, medium stakes, the answer is yes. And to think about it, if all I did was let you attend live weekly coaching webinars with our coaches that have over $50 million in earnings, where you get to ask them whatever poker questions you have in real time, what's that worth? Well, again, if you play poker at any reasonable level, it's worth a pretty decent amount, right? What if all I did was give you access to the thousands of poker situations in the quizzes that you would do, that you're going to encounter every single day, and get instant feedback, immediate feedback from the coaches with new situations added every single week? Again, what is that worth? Take a second. Think about it. Realistically, really, if you can get access to the minds of the best poker coaches in the world, what's that worth to you? Well, if you think it is worth $500 a month, like I said, which is what many, there's only a few, of the high-level training sites charge with substantially less content and almost no new content. If you think that that is a value, well then, if you have not already, you need to take advantage of the Cyber Week and join Poker Coaching Premium, where you can get access to all of this if you get the 3-year plan for $42 per month. It's an absolute steal. And recognize that I've created Poker Coaching Premium to give you all of the tools and training that you need to achieve your poker potential. That is what I want all of you to do. I want you to achieve your poker potential. And if I fail at that job. If I'm not good at my job, I do not want or deserve your money. And that's why, unlike basically every other poker training site out there, I offer a full 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied with pokercoaching.com, let me know within 30 days, and we'll give you a completely 100% full refund. What more do you want? Sign up for 30 days, tell me you don't like it, and cancel. And I will not be offended. All right? That's what we have for you. That is what we're going for. It's a business. You're not doing this out of the love for us. But did you all know, back before this was a profitable business, I make money off this. Before this was a profitable business, I was losing about $3,000 to $5,000 a month making content for all of you for like 5 years. For 5 years, I threw $3,000 to $5,000 into the furnace every month. Why was that? Maybe I'm a degenerate. I'm not sure. That money was purely for content, purely to help all of you get good at poker. But turns out, if you work hard for a long period of time and you help people achieve their goals and help them enjoy their activities like poker better, they're going to reward you. They're going to sign up, right? That is what people will do for you. If any of you have any billing questions, feel free to email support@pokercoaching.com and they will answer those for you. As we see here, members get access to the tournament masterclass. Again, we went through 3 parts of that today out of the 180. Also, there's a 30-day tournament challenge. Every day, we will give you a new piece of content to study to help you develop good study routines and make sure that you're a great tournament player. We also have a 14-day cash game challenge as well. And we have a cash game masterclass too. Remember, all of these things we've discussed so far are part of Poker Coaching Premium. All of these courses, the cash game masterclass, all of these courses, and many, 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 many more. By the way, whenever you sign up to pokercoaching.com, if you're not sure where to start, send us an email and we'll let you know. Let us know roughly what games you play. Let us know what stakes you play, and we'll point you in the right direction. Do we have any mindset coaches? I told you, we just hired Tommy Angelo. He will be a regular contributing coach. Also, we have content on the site from Jared Tendler. He wrote the book, The Mental Game of Poker. We have content from Elliot Rowe, who has been the mindset coach for many of the absolute best players in the world, including people like Fedor Holtz. We have 2 webinars by Fedor Holtz. He made 2 mindset courses for us as well. We worked with him a little bit in the past. And Dr. Trisha Cardner. Again, all this stuff's there. It's part of the deal. I made pokercoaching.com to be the one-stop shop so that you do not need to go anywhere else to study poker content. You wouldn't say you were throwing money into the furnace. It was an investment. You all may not know this. This is my little secret about the training site. I am happy to pay thousands of dollars per hour for private coaching because I play poker at a very high level and it is worth it for me. And if I can turn around and share that with all of you for a tiny, tiny fraction of the price, that's a super value. I mean, again, going back to these coaches, I just want to tell you all, I hate playing poker against Faraz Jaka. And I hate playing poker against James Romero. And I hate playing poker against Bert Stevens and Jonathan Jaffe and Matt Affleck. I mean, really, all of these people. These people all make your life miserable at the poker table. I hire people who I want to learn from. I am hiring the best players in the world to teach me how to get good at poker. And in turn, they're going to teach you to get good at poker. And again, if you're not completely satisfied with pokercoaching.com, within 30 days, tell me you don't like it, I'll give you a full refund. Don't know what more you want from me, right? We try to give you an immense amount of content. We will tell you exactly where to go if you let us know your situation. And anytime you have feedback, anytime you have questions, send us an email and I'll do my best to answer them. We actually just had something we were doing new recently. We had Poker Coaching Premium office hours this morning at 10 a.m. for about 2 hours. I got online, did a show kind of like this, and I answered hand history questions for the most part. There were a few Hold'em manager questions from the students. What we do, right? Every month we've been doing that for the last few months and it's been going great. We also have a Discord channel. We have a study group that studies Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. We will sporadically back players into tournaments because I realize some of you want a shot to play $500 and $1,000 buy-in tournaments. So we give you a shot. You need help beating $25 to $150 tournaments. Where should you start? The Tournament Masterclass. I'm telling you, if you make it through the Tournament Masterclass, 30-ish hours long, not including the hand history reviews. As we see here, here it is. This is part of pokercoaching.com. What I would tell you to do, you want to win $25 to $150 tournaments. Go through these hand history reviews. Here are literally 3 hand history reviews that I played over the last few months, where I played a $50 tournament and won, another $50 tournament and won, and a $150 tournament and took second place. Okay? Okay. So anyway, check it out, pokercoaching.com/cyberweek. I want to thank all of you for being here with me today. Hope you enjoyed this. What would I prescribe to quickly improve you in small stakes tournaments? The Tournament Masterclass. That said, send us an email with your exact situation and we will send you to the right direction. If you're a Poker Coaching Premium member or a Poker Coaching member, I'm here for you, right? I answer and see all the emails that come through. I do my best to be available to all of you within reason. I understand we have many students, so it's tough sometimes, but I do my absolute best. I have a great support team who will help you out. Again, if you have any billing questions, I see some of you asking this, send us an email, support@pokercoaching.com. We are fair, reasonable humans, and we'll do our best to help you out. So anyway, that's it. It's Cyber Week. Enjoy it. Check it out, pokercoaching.com/cyberweek.